You're here. You made it. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, hi, everyone. It's a Thursday night.
It absolutely is.
Yeah. What are we doing? We're doing the pre-show. This is the pre-show. The stream is starting now. What is even this caption here? Let's get the pre-show going. There it is. Look at that. Oh.
Pre-show time.
What's going on, chat? YouTube, Twitch, Periscope. We're on Periscope tonight, too.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Periscope was still a thing. That's pretty sick.
Well, Twitter acquired them. And so you can watch live through Twitter now, which is the other. It's cool.
Nice.
Very
nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Blake, did you happen to see? This is a little this is the pre-show, folks. So Blake and I are just BSing here. Did you happen to see the little preview that our patrons got this morning?
No.
Oh, well, you know some of that exciting stuff coming up in episode 200.
I do. What did you drop for the patrons?
Let's just say it's some artwork.
Very cool. All right.
That may or may not be a thing. So, yeah, that's
hidden behind a paywall. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's hidden behind.
Do we get any responses to it?
Not yet, but I just dropped it this morning. So we'll mention it on the show. But yeah, if you're a patron and watching or listening, go check that out. It's a
little freebie, a little taste.
Blake, so I did a little. Speaking of Patreon, I did a little investigative digging before we went on tonight. We're actually talking about smart cities.
Cool.
Tonight, which is cool. So hopefully, I know last week we had that whole issue of the titles not updating and whatever. So we have the titles are in there now. We're talking about smart cities tonight. What's this Next Web article? I'll post this here for you, Blake. It's been a while since we had a Next Web.
Yeah, I felt like we used to use their articles all the time, and then we just kind of got away from it.
Yeah. So what happened was I stopped taking from our personal, from our podcast feed, which has a lot of good stuff in it.
Yeah.
And so, there's going through office hours again, which here's a plug for office hours. If you haven't joined us for office hours, it's a ton of fun. Blake and I are doing different things during office hours. I'm checking out news stories. Blake is coding up a website and designing. So it's a different look at things, right? And this week, or I guess last week, it's weird because the schedule. So I have office hours on Tuesday. At the end of Tuesday, I'll put everything together and get it ready, and I'll post it the next Monday. So we're a week removed, but that gives me a little chance to capture everything that we didn't talk about on tonight's show, right? So some of the options for tonight's show were smart cities, facial recognition technology. At the border, we had Facebook's vision of VR and AR, AI that generates portraits that you'll find attractive, smart speakers that could monitor your heartbeat without touching you.
Cool.
The smart chip that detects stress via sweat. You got the Virgin Hyperloop releases concept video, and then Microsoft Mesh, which is their AR or VR meeting platform. So we had a bunch of good stories, right?
This is one of those times when I wish we were still doing the old format where we could do a little taste of all of them.
I know.
Those sound so good.
I miss doing a lot of them, but I also feel like the deep conversation on some of these is great too.
I think it's a lot. It's just more fun content to do, to be honest, instead of us trying to jam through, 5 stories and come up with something meaningful to say.
I agree. The other thing, what was I talking? Oh, Patreon. Yeah, that's where I was. So these were stories that we talked about last week during office hours, and some that were pulled in from the previous weeks. And then, so after office hours, I usually put everything together and put it out on the following Monday. I could do Friday, but that's when we do our weekly Q&As. I guess I could shift that to Monday, just swap them so that way they have a whole week to vote on something. I might do that. Now that I'm thinking out loud, this is like a working show meeting almost at this point. Hey, I got to say, our analytics behind the scenes do say that we have a lot of new folks joining us. So if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. We appreciate it. We have this is a podcast, and what you're watching now is a pre-show where Blake and I put together the show notes. We talk about human factors, and like I said, there's a lot of new people joining, so we're happy to have you. Thank you for joining, and we appreciate you stopping by. All right, so story for tonight, Blake. I posted it in our little. Oh, you got it. You're already on it, dude.
I got it. I'm over here writing the blurb and letting you do the.
You're letting me be a chatterbox over here.
Yep. Okay. Well, because I have like a progressively harder time reading and writing, and so I don't know. It's easier for me to let you do some of the talking because you're better at it anyway.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate that. Hey, I want to mention something that I think I showed you this.
Just real quick before you hop into that, I just wanted to say hi to Linda's Room from YouTube. It looks like we got a chat comment in there.
Hi, Mom.
Oh, how are you? That's amazing.
I want to show you this. So I think I showed you this a couple weeks ago, but a couple weeks ago it was a little less mature, right? I think it kind of maybe looked like that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right, so I've added this little number here.
Hold on, I gotta full screen this and
There
restream.
you go.
Oh man, what did you end up doing that out of?
So that's a bearing and a
that's
and a M3 nut, and then also as if that wasn't cool enough, check that out. So that is a hard drive.
Is that the Brita thing? Okay, no,
that's a hard drive. No, the Brita thing is right here. It's somewhere.
Bummer. I was hoping you'd like metallic-size the Brita filter.
Yeah, I'll do something with that sometime. And then I found this wonderful tray at Target, and I thought,
whoa, that's funny,
it would go great with this. So now you're looking at that, right? This is the pre-show, everybody. This is not the podcast. Don't worry. This is just.
Oh man, that's so crazy. So is this gonna be like a wall panel?
What's that?
Is it gonna be like a wall panel?
It's gonna be a wall panel,
man.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah. Okay. So Sorry, I got to get my mind in the game here. We're on in 20 minutes, so we gotta.
Yeah, you want to grab some Reddit stuff?
Yeah. Why don't I do that? You're still working on the blurb. I'm gonna pull a couple of these Reddits. Have you been keeping up? So Blake and I actually established a. We reset our automation with some of the Slack integration stuff. So now we're actually getting more and more. Excuse me. It came from segments into our Slack. Have you looked at any of them? There's a lot that came in. Much more than we used to get.
Obviously, I haven't looked, but that's really cool.
So I'll pull a couple here. Let's see here. When did we go on last Thursday? So I'll start there. Wow, so many. All right. Oh boy. All right. I'll just start the search here.
That's so funny. Like for however many, I don't know, it's been years almost that we were only getting, a subset of what we could have been.
That was user experience subreddit, and that's it.
Only user experience subreddit and a random human factors one that appears like every once and again.
Yeah.
Because we're getting access to the HCI one. Is that right?
Yeah. It's not that. Look, folks. It's not like we say we search all over the internet, but really the internet comes to us with some of this automation. So I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean. Is what it is. We always had hoped that it would turn into more of like people writing to the show anyway.
It's still good, and we do have the occasional folks that'll write up in Slack or email us or whatever. And we prioritize those first, and patrons obviously come first too. Let's see here. I'm looking through some of these. Through some of these posts. I'm looking for a good one. Tell me your struggles so we can make a change.
That's oddly vague, but yeah, let's do it.
What's something you're struggling with in human factors, and what do you wish could happen? Is this something like? Do you feel comfortable talking about your struggles?
I do. I don't know if it would be strictly human factors though.
That's fine. This is UX subreddit, so I was just modifying.
Yeah, I mean I totally have a good one for that because
cool.
that's pretty topical. That came up last night talking to a student.
This is why this is perfect, Blake, because you always have something that comes up from your student discussions. I love it.
I feel like I do because I end up working with like really people that should have been either designers or researchers and just like are finding it really in a different time in life. It leads to a fun, meaningful discussion.
right, so we'll pull that one. Let's see what else we got. Human factors career questions.
Yes, there you go.
Amazon safety specialists, bachelor's in exercise science.
Sick.
Pursue masters in human factors, hoping for some feedback about human factors careers, programs, networking within the community. What kind of careers could I pursue with a human factors degree? I don't know. Do we want to take this one? It seems like, you know, a very specific transition. Not sure if we want to tackle that one.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost
not
only
really
answering that person's question, and
Yeah.
I don't know how much broad-based information we would be able to give.
Yeah. Let's see, what are some important differences between designing for web or native app? Nah. How are you conducting user interviews in this pandemic era? I kind of like that one.
That is a good one.
Yeah, let's do that one. All right, we'll snag that. Dude.
I would really love your opinion on that, actually. So I'll try and hold my questions.
I have a lot of feedback on that. It's been a challenge. It's been something for sure. Let's see. What will you do when Figma's pricing? I don't care. Doing my first redesign.
Advice I don't care. Oh, Brad. All right. What do you got?
Well, let's see here. First time doing such a good touch. For those of you who have been through it, do you mind sharing your approach? Oh, this is literally, I'm starting from scratch. I have no idea how to redesign something.
Oh, no. Can't help you there.
Too broad. Opinion about the program. Specific program. Let's not do that one.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Lone Wolf UXer.
Cool. Been there, done that.
Yeah. Do you work in small groups, or is the work more like a nonstop teamwork and interactions?
I'm not even sure what that means.
I don't either. I kind of like the spirit of the question, but it's not phrased in a way that I like it.
Do you want to mold it? Is it good enough?
Nah.
Skip.
Yeah,
skip button.
Yeah. Let's see. My cat's being a goof over here. She's like pawing at the door, like sideways on the ground. Just
the best.
What tools do you use for remote UX work collaboration with UX coworkers?
Does it have to be UX coworkers?
Well, I mean, it could be human factor.
Everybody.
I mean, like we could modify it. I don't care.
That would be kind of cool because I feel, although it's really, goodness, I can't even talk today. I mean, for me, a lot of it is based on infrastructure you already have, right?
Yeah, it's like, what tool suite are you with? Are you with Google? Are you with Microsoft? Are you with nothing? Are you Adobe? They have some tools, but not all, right? Like,
yeah, there are some cool things we could go into, or I feel like I could go into.
Let's do it. Let's
nerdy stuff. Cool.
Let's do Slack, Teams, email. Yeah, let's talk about this. This is something that I feel like, you know what, especially for like junior folks just getting into the field, I feel like this is one of those things that completely blindsided me when I got into industry, was like the way business is conducted through these types of tools, because, like, you know, you're working with like the free tools like Open Office or Google Drive, and it's like, you know, you get into the workplace and it's like, oh, well, we expect you to know how to use Office 365, and that's let's see here. I'm gonna pull like 5 of these. How we doing on the blurb? We good? Or still going?
I just need probably another 2 minutes.
Okay.
Trying to cut this thing down, so it's not such a mouthful.
I have good news, Blake. We got about 12 minutes before we want to go live. So
sweet. Yeah, this is what, I don't know if you remember me doing this, but usually I would have to turn my mic off and read it aloud to myself.
You can still do that, or you can do it. Yeah, that's fine. I'm
gonna mute myself and just read this aloud.
All right. While Blake's reading over there, I'm gonna look for a couple more of these here. See which popular UX design framework. Case study. No. Okay. I'm looking for some of these. These are kind of stinkers here, but we'll find a good one. Let's see. Do you use any external or analog tools in your workflow? Oh, this is on a link to an article, I think. Or maybe not. Hang on, we'll check that one out for a second. First human factors job. Graduating BS. Want to make the transition to human factors field. Don't have research experience, but I was responsible for the design of workstations. Would you recommend an internship? Should I get a master's degree? Oh, a bachelor's. I was like, maybe. I don't know, Blake, are you there? Can you? What do you think about this one? First human factors job from a bachelor's perspective, bachelor's degree.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have I mean, you and I both have our masters.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a lot of great perspective on that, I guess.
And the places that I've worked favor sort of the higher education degrees.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly, I sound really old. In my time, getting a human factors degree was something I had never heard of at an undergrad level. Now, it is more common now. I know a good handful of people that I work with that only have a bachelor's degree, or I hate it when people say that, so I'm going to take that back. They have a bachelor's degree, and it's a human factors bachelor's degree. So I don't really know. Is there more details in that question, or is it asking, can you get a job with a bachelor's degree?
There's a lot of detail. Let's pull it because it's from the human factors subreddit. So I like it.
Yeah, I like to favor those.
I like to pull it. Let's do that. By the way, are you familiar with that game Bop It?
Yeah.
I just said pull it. I was gifted an R2D2 Bop It that has 3 functions. You bop it on the top, you twist the head, or you pull the legs. And for a while there, one of the people that you work with and I were in a competition going back and forth. You know who it is, about who could get a higher score on this thing.
Oh, great.
And I got the higher score. I think my score was like 78 or something. And my kid pulled it off the shelf one night, and my wife was sitting there. She didn't know how to play at all. And you know, she like after 4 rounds, she completely beat the entire game. It was like it capped out at 100.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, okay, well, I guess there's no reason for me to play this anymore.
I won't be doing this again. Oh, that's too funny, man.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so the blurb is there. I'm kinda.
Are you kinda?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot here. There's just not a whole lot of details about the program itself. So I'm a little concerned in that regard, but we've talked enough.
We talked about enough about smart cities that we can go. Yeah. Hey, a quick question for you, Blake. Do you think taking ibuprofen on stream is drug use?
Ooh, just turn your camera off and don't
I'll
tell
be right
anybody
back.
you did it. No, I doubt it, because I mean, people can drink beers on stream or whatever.
Yeah, I got my crown in earlier this week, and my tooth is just.
Oh yeah, gnarly. Did you did some of that last week, right?
Well, I got my temporary crown a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I gotta show you. It's cool. I took a picture of the X-ray.
Nerd.
There you go. Look, it's just solid white.
Oh wow. That's so crazy. Oh man, too good.
Yeah. Let's see here. What do we got? I am all right. So yes, that's why I had to take some of that stuff. I'm looking for like 3 more. How many do we have? I feel like we have there's a lot to choose from now, and let's grab like 1 or 2 more. I'll just look for. There were a couple that I saw earlier this week that were pretty good. This one's kind of funny. I'm just going to read this one verbatim. We got a couple minutes here before the show starts. I'm going to read this one verbatim because it's so funny. I don't want to talk about it on the show, but it says, just got onboarded with this startup's, quote, new innovative product as a designer. They are so proud of the mediocrity and basicness of it. It's grinding my gears. I know it's my job to improve the overall product experience, but goddamn, it's the most basic thing I've ever seen. What the fuck? And they have a full team of lead product designer, UX researcher, UX writer, and I'm the new product designer, not lead. I get mediocrity, but to celebrate that, not only them, but the owners and the devs, I'm scared. Everyone seems so proud of it, as if they were so defensive when I started asking questions. How did they harvest the data? Why it took them X amount of time to do this and that? How accurate are the data gathering methods to support this design? I felt like everyone thought I was attacking the newborn child. I wasn't. They asked for opinions. How basic is this? Well, to start, it took them X years and tons of research funding to realize that tables need a sort function.
Oh, that's
Sad
not
face.
good.
Also, it took them. What's that?
Oh.
Yeah. Also, it took them so long to realize that users need a filter function. This is an office rental leasing app for improved experience when they search postings. The money spent on that could have been spent for testing risky and unsure functionalities, not this. This shit's as basic and mediocre as it gets. I'm not kidding. What the fuck?
Oh my
Hate
goodness.
that I'm being like this, but more than being a product designer, but I'm an architect as well, and just generally a designer of a lot of things, and this is the first time I've seen such basic things celebrated and defended. Have you seen this situation? If you were me, what would be your action items moving forward?
Whoa, that's a tough situation to be in. I bet you they're kicking themselves for whatever they thought they were going to walk into.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. That's a massive growth opportunity, though. But if it's a startup that's really defensive about its product, that can be very much slowing you down. Gnarly. That was a good read, though.
Yeah, it was. I had a chuckle when I saw that one come through our feed. I got this one. Has networking ever really worked?
No, it's never worked once.
Yeah.
Mateo, what's up, man? How are you?
Oh, hey. Mateo's in the chat. Let's see here. We are looking through some stories, or not stories, some Reddit posts to see what's going on. Human factor CV, anti-HCI research, building a WYSIWYG word processor. Oh, that's really specific.
Yeah, let me just tell you how to do that real fast.
Oh, geez. All right. Using user experience internships for human factors experience.
Say that again?
Using user experience internships for human factors experience.
Oh, I feel like you would have a field day on that person.
Yeah?
I would imagine so. I'd say it's possible, but at the same time, you're almost like, there's nuance to that. Because what did you do is in your user experience internship?
I mean, like user research, right? Like I would imagine. Okay, I'll pull it. We'll talk about it. Well, I'm just pulling these. I don't know if we'll get to all of them, but I'm looking through because I don't want to lose some of these if we have stinkers next week.
Yeah, why not? It's always good to hold on to them.
What do we got? We got about 3 minutes before we want to go live. How's the blurb?
It's perfect.
Okay, great.
Man, what's Mateo saying? Oh, that's right. I always forget like the massive time difference. So you're getting ready to start your day, is that right?
Yeah, that's super early morning for him.
Very cool. Thanks for stopping by on a super early morning while you're still trying to scarf down some breakfast before you head out. Man, I feel like it's been 1,000 years since we've last talked, and I don't know if you're still pursuing your degree, if you finished your degree and now you're off into the working world. I'll have to catch up with you sometime, either in Slack or put a call together or whatever.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Mateo.
Very good. Nice.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. I think we're a couple minutes out from showtime. So why don't we just take a quick break and we'll start the show after this. Blake, you want to get Audacity up and ready to go?
Oh, that's right. We have to record a podcast at the same time.
Yeah, well, that's what we're doing tonight.
Yep.
We're recording a podcast.
The amount of times that I've nearly forgotten that now is
both of us
defying me. Yeah, it's pretty silly. All right, there we go. Let me just test it real quick. So I apologize for the weird. Hey, everybody. My name is Blake Arnsdorff.
Oh, look,
right,
Blake's
cool.
testing his audio.
Whoa, magic. Okay, cool. It's all good to go. Oh, interesting. So this is where Restream will put your chat if your window is too small. That's kind of cool.
That's very cool.
Sort of degreeing. Yeah, I remember that. That was not a fun time for me. Work is high priority. Yeah, that makes total sense, man. Life is definitely a tricky balance. I remember starting my first real human factors job and not having my degree done. It was really, really tough for me. I actually just had to talk to somebody else about that because they were asking opinions. Tough, but when you want to start paying back loans and start building your savings, all that kind of stuff, it's hard to know what to do. Yeah, but life's a balance and it'll get done. Always does.
All right, Blake, I am going to go ahead and throw up one of these fancy graphics. Everyone watching, we'll be back in about a minute. Blake, why don't we just go ahead and start when this thing hits 10 seconds. Sound good?
Okay.
All right, back in a moment. Hey everyone! It's what is today? It's a great start to the show. 318. It's
318 today.
Over?
Good. Nah.
Wow. March 18th, 2021. And this is Human Factors Cast. It's episode 198. Can you believe it? I'm your host, Nick Roome. I'm joined today by Blake Arnsdorff.
How are you, Nick? And how is everybody else on the internet? If you're hanging out with us on Twitch or YouTube or Periscope, is that right?
Yeah, we're on a couple platforms.
We're everywhere.
Yeah, I guess we can jump into the programming notes. We're everywhere. If you're hanging out with us tonight, it's been a good time. We're on Twitch and Periscope and YouTube and soon to be LinkedIn too. We're slowly rolling it out. We got a great news story tonight. We're going to be talking about smart cities again, from this article from the Next Web. I keep mentioning this. We've been posting cryptic teases across our social media about this. April 1st date. It's not a joke. That's our episode 200. And we got some fun little things in store for you all. Both listeners, watchers, everybody really. And our patrons actually today just got a little sneak peek at something. So that was a fun little reveal for them. But aside from that, we'd love to have you on one of our live platforms because it definitely kind of keeps the spirit of the show going here. But Blake, I got to know what's going on with your part of the world. I see. Oops.
Oh yeah. Oops. Yeah. So just a little peek behind the curtain is Nick likes to say. I was gonna say as Blake likes to say. That's not a good thing. So we got everything ready this time for the show. Hit record, and I realized as we started, I don't have my banter put here, but luckily I have it in my head. So I left Nick's a little fun oops here. I don't know how to phrase this, so I'm just gonna let it kind of ramble out as everybody who has been here before is used to. So there are times, Nick, where I think I question my profession. Like, how did I end up in this? Like, what am I really doing?
How did I get here?
Yeah, how did this happen?
We gonna get DCMA?
Potentially, yeah, if we hum it too closely.
Right.
But so there's often like moments of clarity that I have when I find myself in that slump that kind of just remind me of what it is I'm doing and maybe maybe some of my mission in life and all that kind of good stuff. I don't want to be too sappy about it, but I had like a couple of weeks of this. So just really kind of going through the motions, feeling like I don't really know where my career is heading, that kind of stuff. And for some people that do know, I do on the side do a little bit of user experience education style stuff with a company called Design Lab. So I do mentoring of their various courses. And one of my former research students, who I only worked with for like a month, she recently reached out. And I remember talking to this person, very, very hyper intelligent. And it was one of these times that's happened to me a lot recently where I meet somebody and it's like, you should be doing this human factor style research work, or you should be a user experience designer or whatever it may be. And they're finding it later in life. And it was one of these times where I personally did not know, without my background in human factors, how I would kick in the door of user experience research jobs or human factors jobs. And so one thing I had suggested was to either look into short courses that are focused on the research side of user experience or human factor stuff. And long story short, months later, like maybe a year later now, she's reached out to me and she just got into a really prestigious human factors program. And it was one of those times where it's like, nobody owed me any thanks for it, but it was really cool to see how the influence of just a short period of time working with someone kind of helped send them on a different trajectory. And another instance happened to me last night as well. I've been working with a software developer who's also transitioning into user experience design. And we got to talking and he was like, "Hey man, I know that you, on the Twitch streams that you do for your podcast, you have talked about like doing development. What does that look like doing the front side of development?" So this is somebody that's focused on the back end and now wants to transition into design and ultimately taking his code skills to the front end. So it was just fun to see in retrospect how, although sometimes I really don't feel like either I know what I'm doing or if I am sure that I'm on the right kind of career path, it's good to have those kind of like check-ins to remind you like why you're doing what you're doing and kind of why you're proceeding down a path. Because my kind of like battle with figuring out my career has ultimately gained me a lot of skills that I love sharing with other people to kind of help them do what they want with their career. So it's been a good week is probably what all that I was trying to say there. But nonetheless, how's everything going for you, Nick?
Man, I'm glad you had a good week, and I'm glad you get that positive reinforcement about your career and kind of making sure that it's worth it, right? I've definitely had those what are those like invasive thoughts? Well, anyway, I get it. So thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
I had a good week too, but it didn't start out that way. So, Blake, do you have your COVID vaccine yet?
I do not.
Are you eligible or any of that stuff?
As far as I know, I am not at the moment.
Do you know anybody who's got the vaccine?
Yeah, Elise got hers because she's like a state educator, so she got her first round earlier last week, I guess.
Was it easy for her to sign up, find an appointment?
So yes and no. So finding the appointment was kind of a by chance thing because although she was qualified to get it, actually like it was hard, but the process once she had it was really easy. So she had kind of both experiences.
That was my experience as well. So I got the letter over the weekend that, hey, you'll be eligible on the 15th. And I was like, great, this is great. And so I woke up the morning of the 15th and looked for an appointment. No dice. Been checking throughout the week. No dice. And I just got to say, man, from like a user experience, human factors perspective, this is a mess. Yeah. It's a mess, man. Because there's like, here in San Diego County, there's like the California website, then there's the San Diego website, and then there's also the websites that, you get through your healthcare provider.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's like, which website do you use? How do you schedule an appointment? There's so much stuff going on to where I was getting very frustrated to the point where I was like, I'll just wait like a couple weeks before I get it, because it's so frustrating. And I couldn't get it to I couldn't find the information that I wanted to, even I just wanted to schedule it out 3 weeks from now or whatever. And it wouldn't even let me do that. So it's like, it was frustrating from that perspective. And so on a whim today, I just went to my healthcare provider. It was like, it had to have been like 10 a.m. or something. I went to it. I was like, okay, I tried this earlier this morning. Maybe something opened up. It did. And it was for 12:30, and it was like 10 at the time. So like,
oh wow, so you like booked it got an appointment today?
Yeah. So
oh my goodness.
yeah, it was crazy.
Trying to schedule something 3 weeks out and get something for today.
There it is. Yeah, you got it right there. So yeah, I mean, I had the same experience as Elise did, right? So it was very much like, and I ended up getting it through my healthcare provider, which, for anyone who doesn't have healthcare or something here in the States, that's a good chunk of people.
Yeah, the whole thing.
It's completely crazy to think about that, right? So like, to use some of those other systems that are really difficult to use, I was getting very frustrated.
Yikes.
And yeah, because I was like, anyway. So yeah, I signed up, and once I signed up, everything was fine. You walk in, they got a process down. You walk in, you go in line, you wait for the person in front of you to get theirs, and then you go in, answer a couple questions, you get the shot, you leave the room, they watch you for 15 minutes to make sure you don't pass out on the floor. And while they do that, they're like, hey, just open up your app and schedule your next appointment. And I had no problems doing that because they already have you in the system as saying you got your first appointment done. And so, I got my next appointment scheduled already, and it's good to go. And, it's just crazy to think about the logistics of this thing. We had Frank on a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about the logistics of COVID vaccine distribution. If anyone wants to go listen to that, I think it was episode 196, I want to say, or 190. Oh no, it was way long ago. It was 190. So if you want to go back and listen to that discussion with Frank,
that was many episodes ago.
Yeah.
Shoot, I thought that was last week. Goodness.
I know.
All right.
Where does time go? Yeah, it was a process, man. And it just frustrated me so much because, like, if you think about just the way resources are allocated in a situation like this, if this is not affirmation that there's a role for human factors in basically every walk of life, here it is. Because we're in the midst of a global pandemic, and there's logistics that need to be figured out, and there are people that want to use their skills to help figure this process out. And like, I was thinking about this too. There's like a couple different websites that you can use that kind of consolidate information, but none of them have all the information, and it's very localized, and they even filter the information based on your location. Like, I didn't mind driving an hour, and I actually did. I drove up to, North County, which during traffic is an hour for us. And so yeah, I drove up there, and I was like, I'm okay with doing that just because I thankfully I have a workplace that allows me to kind of on the fly say, hey, I just got signed up for the COVID vaccine. I gotta go. I'll be back.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just the whole process is crazy, man. Like, it makes me mad now that, other people have to deal with this shit because it's just so frustrating.
Yeah,
I guess frustrating.
The only saving grace there is like the fact that once you're in the system, that the follow-up appointment is super easy to schedule, because you scheduled it on the spot, right?
Yeah, I scheduled it literally in the waiting room as I was waiting to pass out on the floor. But I didn't. Vaccine is totally safe. If anyone's on the fence, please take it. I can't imagine anyone who listens to this show on the fence. But yeah, I don't know, man. The whole process was just way more frustrating than it needed to be.
Yeah, and it's like that from anybody I've heard that's kind of gone through it at the moment. And the funny part, it's not funny, but it's ironic to me that the same situation has happened across 4 different people that I've talked to, where they get notifications some way or another. They can get the vaccine. They try to schedule it at a reasonable time frame, like trying to be courteous, and they can't do it. And they, on a whim, go look for it. Okay, let's go do it now.
Yeah. And
it just works out that way. I don't understand how that even really is happening. But yeah, it is a logistical nightmare from the distribution side, from the, actually getting it to people's side. And like, it's, I don't know. There's hopefully a lot of lessons learned from the whole thing, but you never really know. But definitely a giant role for human factors people, system engineering people, lots of just interesting problems.
Yeah, it kind of brings me back to, you remember our conversation with about the post COVID-19 response, just about like how you know supermarkets and everything have to adapt to the new processes and procedures. Remember that conversation?
And they did it. Like they pivoted.
They did. And it's like, well, why can't we had all this time. We had all this time before the vaccine was ready. How come the systems weren't ready? Why?
Yeah,
we can develop a vaccine in this amount of time, but we can't figure out the logistics? What the hell? It's like, it's frustrating.
It's so wild because I mean, I don't know. There's plenty of logistics people that had to have already been hired to distribute this stuff, even if it's coming from, separate providers or whatever. So the fact that wasn't really put into play until like, okay, let's go ahead and get this thing out and see how it goes. It'll be fine. But I think there's a lot of, I'm not trying to like save any graces here for this stuff, but I think there's a lot of just infrastructural problems that already are pre-existing that just make it even worse. Because the fact that like for the smallest part of this, you had to go visit basically 3 different websites and kind of figure it out on your own, that's kind of nonsense. You shouldn't have to do all that.
Well, I was understating it when I said 3 websites. It was more like 5 or 6 or 7, maybe even disparate websites that were like, oh, here's the Vaughn's and Albertsons one, and here's the Ralph's one, and here's the Rite Aid one, and none of them have availability, and it's a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I'm glad that it's worked out, and everything else from here should be pretty smooth, right?
So yes, well, hopefully, and they say that everyone who wants one should be able to get one by May. So hopefully that's the case. And hopefully not everyone has the same experience I had. I think we're kind of at the end of this, or getting towards the end of it. So hopefully, it'll just be a fleeting memory in a couple weeks from now. All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and get into this next part of the show? That's right. It's Human Factors News. This is the part all about human factors news. This is where we talk about everything related to the field of human factors. This could be anything from medical, privacy, security, robotics. We got a little bit of everything in there this week because, Blake, what are we talking about this week?
This week, we are talking about smart cities. So tech is great, but people don't want to forget about it. So one of the biggest things, or one way to enable evidence-based decision-making by cities, is to integrate physical and digital urban infrastructure and identify different usage patterns and emerging trends of how people are functioning in their city. However, as cities become increasingly digitized and as more technologies are integrated and more data is gathered, the way this process is managed becomes increasingly important. And over the past 5 years, a consortium of city authorities that are part of the Sharing Cities program that includes businesses, academic partners, and other technology companies have tested a range of smart technologies in cities across Europe, integrating a range of e-mobility solutions, deep energy building retrofits, smart street lighting, and sustainable energy management systems, all underpinned by urban data platforms. The adoptions of smart city infrastructure, of course, needs to be carefully managed and transparent because, after all, these cities are now monitoring its populace and making decisions based off of emerging patterns. So, Nick, we talked about this. I want to say it was at least a year ago, or one of the first time it emerged, where we started seeing sketches for this that Google is putting together. And then I think even for us, like in the local populace of San Diego, we started seeing more articles about like the integration of technology for smart cities. And now we're kind of seeing in Europe a bigger test bed of what infrastructure should look like for this. So this is pretty intense and really cool. But to back up a second, the biggest thing I think that this particular article is trying to get at is there's, of course, this pro and con of more kind of technology being integrated into a city, more data that's collected on its population, and the use of that data being in meaningful ways and not in potentially nefarious ways.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway for me with this is that, more and more cities are trying to establish these playbooks. At least this is part of this article, right? These playbooks of how to kind of make these smart cities work, but not just the technology aspect of it, but work for the people. And that's one of the main draws, right? And yes, we did talk about smart cities before, and we actually talked about like You remember the story that we talked about a while ago about the iconography about what data is being collected about you in these areas? That was a fun
Yeah.
one too. But I think the important thing to think about or think through here is, or at least the part that I'm taking away from this is, we need to get further to the left with incorporating user needs into what a smart city could be. This is a lot of like the how early do you incorporate users? And I think they need to be incorporated from the very get-go with something like this, because you have a million different technologies that could be implemented into a smart city, and it's going to impact users in a variety of different ways. And one of the most intriguing parts of a smart city to me is all the different touch points of a workflow for a user. A user of a smart city, if you will. What would you call it? A resident, right? But they are a user of a smart city. And so you have to consider their needs, right? From the moment they wake up to the time they go to sleep, and everything in between there, and when they're actually asleep too. There could be other things going on. We had even talked about, this is kind of like a perfect confluence of all the stories that we talked about too, because we talked about like drones and how they have the levels of drones for like emergency services drones and delivery drones and all that stuff. And kind of the process control of what that might look like from a perspective, right? Who controls the smart cities? Is it automated, or is it, sort of logistical control center? And then there's the technology within it. My brain is everywhere, but this encompasses a lot of the things that we've talked about with smart cities before.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think so. This is like a really nerdy analogy that I want to make, but I got really excited in like a couple of years ago. I got to work with a nonprofit focusing on giving them analytics and putting them, like, embedding Google Analytics in their site and helping them understand at a better level like how user interaction was happening across their website, what they could do to improve things. And this, especially in this kind of European, or I think really they focused in London, in this London situation, it's basically like doing that on steroids in a way. So you're almost taking into account so much of what's going on in your city that you can help plan what you're going to do in the future. So making things more electronic friendly, right? So providing e-bikes throughout the city, or knowing if you need to put charging stations for more electric cars, like being able to help understand the city's populace projection of like how technology is going to move, and really have that data driven decision making on top of exactly what you were talking about, understanding end user needs at a really large scale, can really have a lot of profound effect on how you plan the city's growth, or how you even plan like a newer, larger scale city. And it's going to be interesting. And I think this is kind of funny that we went down such a deep rabbit hole talking about logistics, because I think this is, again, like a system of systems problem that will take a lot of kind of time and careful planning from a bunch of different people, including a lot of different human factors specialists, to understand, as you implement this technology, how do you make sure that it's interfacing with different residents, like you had mentioned, in meaningful ways and not causing disruption, and what does that all look like as you play it out? So the like, I guess the flip coin to that is really also, as a user, kind of like what you talked about with the icons, understanding what it means to be living in a smart city, and not being kind of like ignorant to it in any way. So you understand data that's collected, how it's used, all that kind of different stuff, so we don't end up in situations down the line where something's used in a nefarious way, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, so this specific article that we pulled from the Next Web, they focus on, look, here are these playbooks from the EU, and they focus on the solution, but they don't talk about the user. And so that's kind of what that's our springboard for talking about it here. Like you said, Blake, there's a couple different solutions that the EU came up with, right? There's, the e-bike sharing that you mentioned. There's even like how to retrofit a building. There's information on smart streets there. But I think the point that this Next Web article is trying to make is that in these outlines for how to basically create or solve a smart city, the user is largely ignored. And so that's our cue here as human factors professionals to jump in and speculate how they might, interface with this. And we've already talked about a lot of it. And we've even, like I said earlier, we even brought some of the stuff up on the show. The thing to me is like, when you look at these playbooks that just came out, right? It's one of those things where it gets me frustrated because it's like, it's so easy to include just what type of benefit does this have for the residents of a smart city? And maybe they do. I'll be honest, I haven't dug deeply into any of these. There might be a section on them that actually has, and that's because, you have to request them specifically. You can't just download them. So it's one of those things that's kind of locked behind a paywall. So we haven't seen it, but the idea here is that there might be a section within those that actually say what the impact for the residents are, right? E-bike sharing, by making something available, residents will be able to get from point A to point B easier and more affordably than if these things were not available, right? That's something so simple that you can outline. And this is just a very cursory level benefit for the users. But yeah, I think my whole argument here is that we just got to incorporate them at the very beginning. Like, think about them before you think about the smart city. I mean, technology is cool, but why are we incorporating all this technology if not to make it easier for the people that live there?
Yeah, and something that it's not necessarily, well, I do think it is concerning because there's a line in here about basically it's kind of a lot of this data that's being collected to inform development of these types of playbooks that are meant to be, options for infrastructure. Really, they're saying they're going to collect this data, create playbooks, and put it in front of policymakers. Well, we've known in the past, and I think a lot of people in our human factors field have done a really good job in like inserting themselves in government policy issues and making sure that human factors voices are heard. And I think this is one of those instances where it would be super important to make sure that the right people are included in the conversation, and that somebody is looking out for the end user needs. Because I just want to be as honest as I can. The way this article reads, it seems like, yeah, there's some cool things to be done, but it seems more focused on making the city run more efficiently than anything else. Now, there is some obvious kind of like pluses to that, right? Traffic might not be as much of a pain. You may not really even have to, you may have more kind of robust public transportation if everything's running smoothly. They even talk about a lot of the aspects of implementing technology that's going to really focus on air quality and the environment as a whole in the city. So lots of kind of obvious benefits to users when you think about it that way. But at the end of the day, a lot of these things that are being called out are very specific to energy saving, things that are going to help businesses thrive within their new ecosystem. But you're right, there's not a whole lot of what happens for the end user. And likely, I would imagine, all that still has to be figured out. This is like such a high level infrastructure kind of concept they put together. But you would hope that things like being able to basically it's kind of like a user service agreement when you walk into a city or when you walk into an area of town. Yeah, exactly. You've got to figure out how to communicate that stuff. And I think the biggest gripe that the biggest thing I would be afraid of is if it's put to you in like a lease in terms that you don't necessarily understand, and you need to go hire a lawyer to understand how data is going to be used. So I think that's a major problem that people in our field will have to try and figure out how to tackle. It's just that communication piece, like what ends up being done with all this data that's collected while I'm here? And if I'm a business owner, what does that mean for me? How's that information used from the city perspective, and how can it ultimately benefit me as a business owner or somebody that's living in a city?
Yeah, Blake, I want to back up because you were actually kind of getting really close to kind of the thing I was mentioning there just a second ago about like, yes, there's all this benefit for the user, but if you're not capturing it, if you're not recording it, if you're not codifying it, then you're losing some of the purpose for even having a smart city in the first place. I feel like there needs to be, I feel like if you were to capture this information, document it in these playbooks, you could almost build a brochure for advertising these smart cities out of those benefits to the residents, right? You could almost say, look, you got cleaner air, you got less traffic, you got, more transportation options, you got better business, whatever, like you could build out a brochure that attracts people to your city that says, hey, look, there's less congestion because of X, Y, and Z. There's, like, are you afraid of living in a city because of pollution? Well, we got that because we got these, greenhouse gas, whatever. Like, it's just a matter of capturing it. What is the benefit for the end user? And also, it's that whole argument of using tech for the sake of using tech, or is it using tech because it benefits the people? Like, this whole thing is just when it doesn't include the user. Let me be clear: when it doesn't include the user, or when there's no obvious benefit for people, that is when it's a mess. And the easy solution: document it, explain it. What is the benefit for the user in these smart cities, right? Like, Blake, if I were to tell you, in this smart city, power will never go down because we have backups. Oh, sorry. Power will never go down. How does that benefit the user?
Just, don't ever have to worry about their electric car failing. Yeah. Or their lights going off in their business if they own one.
Right. Because the tech is such that, it collects solar power and stores it in batteries. And so, there's enough batteries to ensure that there's always a reserve to power the city for X amount of days without external power sources like a power plant or something, right? But outline those benefits for the user, right? Hey, you'll never have to worry about X, Y, or Z, not just the things that you'd power in your home, not just your TV, but your internet service provider. They're never going to go down because, their power won't go out. Internet outages could still be a thing if like a cable gets cut in the middle of the ocean or something, like that's that, but there are other obvious benefits, like, hey, you never have to worry about your automatic doors to your apartment building opening or not opening up because it's not, powered by electricity. I don't know. There's a lot of that's one very simple example. Like, then you could also say, like, hey, we use 100% green energy here. Well, what does that mean? Why is that important to me right? It's the tech, but explain to me the benefits. Well, actually, there's less pollution for you in a smart city.
Yeah, and I think some of the like convenience factors would be hard for people to even know about unless they're kind of explicit, like in some way or another. And one way that I think they're trying to handle that, or at least it seems like that's the goal of this social media platform and app they've designed called the Digital Social Market, kind of centered around providing people with better understanding of like what benefits the smart city has, what technology is available to you and what you can do in a smart city, and kind of the impact to the environment. And also, it seems like there's also a social component to it. So trying to get people to interact with each other, probably to incentivize each other to, shop at local businesses and things like that, to ultimately allow the city itself, if you want to think of it that way, to continue growing and collecting more information and data and stuff like that. So I think there may be more of that kind of stuff documented, but it's not very, explicit either in this article, or like you were mentioning, it could be in the paywall behind the playbook stuff.
It could be. And even if it's not, it deserves to be in its own it deserves to be in its own playbook. The user benefit playbook, right? For more information on the reason why users benefit, or the reason for this user benefit, go see the deep energy retrofits for buildings. Like, that's the source. And so you can trace it back. It's that traceability, right? If I were to tell you, the digital social market, that's the one where it does kind of connect to the user. And so I'll give them a little bit there. And I think that's what you were mentioning too, that digital social market.
Yeah.
That app. But it's kind of, to me, that's more encouraging the residents to engage in pro-social behavior like recycling, or, a community, community garden on the top of your building or something like that, right? Though that that is what I think of when I think of that. I don't think of, hey, these are the benefits to the users that are going to be a result of all these other improvements in technology, right?
Yeah, I think it's more of an onboarding tool, but
Yeah.
I think you do have a good point, and it's interesting that you don't see as much explicit information about like end user benefit, because you would imagine like take away the importance of it for the human factor side of it. I mean, that's great marketing material for something like this, is being explicit about what is good for people based off of these kind of technology implementations and what it can do for the end family, the end business owner, the end whatever, like community in and of itself. So hopefully we do see a little bit more information about this come out as these kind of get wider spread. Because I'm hoping that what this means is if we're seeing test beds at such a scale like this, that it's going to become more than just like articles we're reading about in the US, and hopefully start being implemented in larger scale ways in places like San Francisco or Austin or whatever it may be.
Yeah, to be fair, there are some webinars available for these, right? You can't get the playbooks without requesting it. I'm not sure, the webinars are freely available. So, we might
cool.
want to go back and watch those. But they have more information there. I'm looking at some of these case studies. They have Greenwich in there, so they might have more information about what this app actually does. I'm trying to quickly scroll through it as we're talking here, but basically, it looks like you kind of earn points for doing things like walking or cycling or charging electric vehicles or saving energy at home, answering quizzes about your energy and mobility, and visit local shops to earn points. So it sounds like this gamification of being, of green energy. And to me, that is I wouldn't say it's antithetical to what smart city should be, but it's not what I think of when I think of a smart city that serves its residents.
Yeah, that's definitely fair.
Like it's oh god, it kind of reminds me of like a social currency, where like you have some sort of social currency associated with your person because you have installed solar panels on your house, or you've gone to certain shops that favor green energy or something. And I'm all for promoting green energy, but when you're giving some social status or some points associated with your actions, I think that kind of counterintuitively goes against what a smart city should do. Like even schools can get points for being more energy efficient, at least in this example. So like, to me, it seems kind of like it seems more like a social tool to encourage pro-social behavior, which is a totally different argument than what a smart city should do for its residents.
Yeah, I think it's obviously not very clear what they're intending it to do. I mean, the thing that I'm kind of seeing now, because I've gone to another article, they've linked to it as well, and all of the graphics and a lot of the wording, like it's very much focused on the changes they're going to make in the city, not necessarily impact. And although throughout both articles and a lot of the graphics, like citizen engagement is mentioned, but the impact of it is not explicit. So that does make me a little bit wary of what this actually means in implementation. And because I'm even seeing like buzzwords that you would see for, creating customer journeys with, citizens and stuff like that. Well, what's the outcome of all that stuff? Because it's definitely not clear in any of these suggested, retrofitting or add-ons to the city, nor is it kind of clear what the overall impact has been of interacting with citizens and even their receptivity to the idea of doing all of this.
Yeah, looking at the digital social market, right? They have like how to deploy a digital social market, and I can tell you, there's like just a couple places where users are mentioned here, right? So The very first thing they have on there is impact mapping. And this is talking about stakeholders, economic, environmental, and social impacts of a project. The social impacts are where a user might be. That actually seems more like a culture thing to me, but from the way it's worded here, not necessarily usernames, but what problem a city is trying to solve and why. So that the impact mapping is kind of user centered there. You have onboarding, right, which is very user focused, and then maintenance, which is user focused. But those 3 points are really all I'm seeing there where the user is considered, and those are in the early stages, which fine. But again, like users need to be mentioned throughout, some of these processes to make sure that their needs are captured at every step along the way. They do have, I will say, in this webinar that I'm scrolling through, this is the Sharing Cities Smart City Solutions Digital Social Market webinar for anyone who wants to follow along. There is a slide with UI UX testing, user experience and user interface testing at the very top of the app. So it's very app focused. This is kind of that same digital currency app that we were talking about.
Yeah.
So like they consider it, but only for the app and not necessarily the impact of everything that's going on around them.
Which just feels too bad to me because there's so much opportunity in this entire, like, if you go back to the main words of what they're talking about in this article blurb, this is developing infrastructure, and there's so much more you can do with citizens and user testing and user interviews and even kind of like pseudo experiment things than focus on mobile app design. There's way more at play here, like with the amount of IoT they're trying to embed in a new city than to only focus on how do I kind of gamify the experience through an application. So it is kind of frustrating at this point, especially because I'm definitely seeing like just UX buzzwords all over the place. So it's just interesting.
It's almost as frustrating as scheduling a COVID vaccine.
Almost.
Almost. All right, man. I'm just about talked out on this topic. Do you have anything else you want to talk about before we depart this smart city?
Let's just continue seeing smart city stuff roll out. That's all I want to see. It's just more and more kind of technology we're planning to use, and what's the ultimate impact to everyone else.
Yeah, I agree. I think the smart city stuff is really cool, and I really want to see a user-focused smart city being built, a case study from start to finish with the user in mind and not necessarily the technology. The technology's cool, and that's something that I was always told, by the way, as an aspiring human factors professional. Study the material and not the technology, right? I was very interested in virtual reality. Well, why? Is it because of it's novel and cool and new, or is it because there are some really neat things that you can do in VR? And at first it was the technology, but I slowly came around to loving the subject matter more than the technology. And I think that's something humbling that we all have to remember at times is, make sure to focus on the user needs and why you're studying the thing versus the technology. And I think that's a lesson that we can apply to smart cities for sure. All right. Well, I just want to thank our patrons this week for selecting the topic. Our patrons do choose the news. And thank you to our friends over at the Next Web for this great article on why users should be included in this smart city technology. We're going to take a quick break. Really quick, though, we are posting all these links to these original articles in our Slack. And I'm going through all these articles on Tuesdays, exclusively on Twitch. So if you want to check it out there, we do have our office hours there, so you can come and see what doesn't make the cut. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back to see what's going on in the human factors community right after this. All right. And we are back. I just want to say a huge thank you to our patrons. Like I said, they do choose the news, and especially to our honorary Human Factors cast staff, Michelle, Tripp. Patrons like you keep the show running, gives us encouragement to keep going week to week. So thank you all so much for your continued support. Human Factors Minute continues to be a great way to enjoy Human Factors in a minute. It is a show for our patrons that we put on. It's a weekly show where we will dig into our textbooks and consolidate these complex, really complex topics in just 1 minute of your time. So if you're looking for Human Factors on the go, it's a great way to stay in touch. And it's a wide variety of topics too, man. I'm talking like, we got some Human Factors and Ergonomic Society technical groups in there. We got everything from forensics to a Chernobyl mini series. Wait, have we done forensics? Did I just spoil it for somebody? No, we just
you got them.
No, we did that. We did that a while ago. We got augmented cognition in there. HFE woman. Are you curious about those types of things? We have them in Human Factors Minute, and you can get that on Patreon. So go check it out. I hate begging, but donations like that or continued support really does keep this show running. There, everything that we pay for is out of pocket. So whatever you can give to support. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into this next part of the show. That's right. It came from Reddit this week. This is the part of the show where we search all over the internet, where we pick out some topics that might be of interest for us to sit here and ramble about. It's actually topics the community's talking about, and we just add our commentary to it. Really, is what we're doing. And
just change that up. No big deal.
Yeah. So here we go, Blake. We got time for a couple of them. So we got some time. Let's see here. I'm gonna go ahead and just get started. Let's just
do it.
We have a ton in here, so we can just go through some of these. There's lots of really good ones. So we'll start here with this one. Tell me your struggles so we can make a change. Blake. I'm just kidding. This one's from
what he struggled with.
This one's Karamoka 009 from the user experience subreddit. Hello, I've been in the industry for a while and just recently started my own business, but I haven't been in the job market for a while now. So I'm curious to hear from people here, junior or senior, what's something that you're struggling with in user experience or Human Factors, and what do you wish could happen? I'm compiling this information in an effort to blah, blah, blah. Basically, what are your pain points from a Human Factors or user experience professional perspective?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. One that I struggled with for most of my career. And I think it's only really starting to come together now, believe it or not, or in the past 3 months, is process. And that there's definitely no kind of one size fits all UX design or Human Factors process to use. And you do have to implement changes depending on project needs and stuff like that. There's a lot of variables, right? But there are processes that work better than others, and there are ways to try and match like an agile software development that will work versus just kind of trying to do everything you can and not following any kind of scheduling or anything like that. So one thing I guess that I've really struggled with is kind of figuring out what design and research process works best for my teams, and how can we start on kind of a baseline as on like all on the same page in order to kind of tackle a problem. Because I've become, I think in the past little while, really a strong believer that it's good to have a blueprint, but you'll have to shape it for what you need it for. But it would be great if I felt like there was more readily available documentation or YouTube videos, whatever kind of medium that really focused on kind of process and how it's applied from like bigger companies or mid-tier companies, just things that have been successful that others can learn from. And I think there's a lot of still like hiding stuff behind the gate that happens, which I get it. There's some magic that you want to keep secret, but I think there's ultimately, if we're able to produce design processes and research processes that are in the applied world, that all help us create better products in shorter timelines, that it's ultimately going to create a better market and a better set of tools and stuff like that. The other one that's really UX and my career path specific is what am I going to do? Am I going to be a UX designer? Am I going to be a front-end developer? Am I going to be some hybrid between the two? So I think that's been an interesting conversation I've had with a bunch of people recently that find themselves in the same boat. Does it make sense for you to be in the UX field if basically what you're doing is you're a front-end engineer that understands design, and in my case, UX research or human factors methods? So I think kind of figuring out what career path is an interesting one for myself anyway. But that's just me. Hopefully, Karamoka 009, you hear this and we can figure it out together. But Nick, what are some of the things you struggle with either in your career path or whatever it is right now?
That's a good question. The thing I struggle with is career path is one of them, right? Largely my experience has been opportunities of chance and not necessarily directed towards my interests. And that's fine. I've been interested in all the things that I've worked on. Otherwise I wouldn't have taken the job. But it's always been adjacent to the thing that I've always wanted to do. And so it's like, how do I connect that bit with what I'm doing now? So that way I'm always working towards that in case there is that pivot. So that way I can kind of use what I'm learning now and apply it to that later. So that's one struggle. And another struggle is obviously communicating what you do and the intent behind your changes as to not upset any feelings. Like that's a really difficult part of the job. And it's something that you have to be cognizant of, because there are some people that are going to be really proud of mediocrity, as we talked about in the pre-show. And, there's going to be those people, and you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And so like being able to phrase something in terms of the users and say, the users need this because look at the data, and connecting those two things together is something it's a challenge sometimes, because it's like in your head, this is a better call to organize these things in this way, but you don't necessarily have any data to back it up. And so you have to like work ahead of yourself if that's a change that you're going to recommend, to get some of the users to either suggest that or to, get user data that's going to suggest that. So that way, if it's going to be a tough sell, you can bring it to them and say, look, this is exactly what they're saying. It's not me, it's them. They need this. Look, it's right there. Yeah. So that's another struggle. So that's kind of where I'm at with those. And I think that's a great question.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I'm glad you pulled that.
Yeah. I'm going to pull, let's see here. I'm going to actually go down here to first human factors job. So I'm going to skip a couple of these, Blake. We might circle back if we have time. This is from Crafty Example 4688 from the Human Factors subreddit. This is, hello, guys. I'll be graduating with a bachelor's in industrial engineering, where I took human factors related coursework. I want to make the transition to human factors field. I don't have research experience, but I was responsible for the design of a workstation, as well as ergonomic evaluations and design of other components at my co-op. What kind of position do you think I could get now in the field, or would you recommend, human factors engineer, human factors researcher, UX? Would you recommend an internship? Should I get a master's degree? I know there are some master's program out there that offers traineeships. Any advice? So Blake, I want to approach this more of the, this is definitely a junior question. And this is something that I think you and I are going to struggle with, because I want to frame it more from the mindset of how do you transition to the field from a bachelor's degree? Because you and I both have masters. So take it away. Go.
Yeah, I'm gonna end my comment probably not in the way you want me to, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Okay, that's fine.
But regardless, this is interesting to me, because this is an industrial engineering program, and sometimes I have friends who do, it's master's degree programs, but your human factors degree is coming out of an industrial engineering program. So they have they are a true human factors engineer from industrial engineering. So with your coursework and stuff like that, I mean, geez, having human factors ergonomics and like product design, that's a lot of really heavy hitting stuff that kind of gives you a wide array of possibilities. So I mean, as a grad out of school, it really becomes, from my perspective, down how you're selling yourself and what you want to do with human factors. And I mean, it looks like if you let's say you wanted to do physical workstation design or focus on like physical product design, you already have like an example, it seems like, of research work or like physical work that you've done to come up with a design that probably had to meet specific standards and things like that for your co-op. So I would really kind of play that up in your experience. And in a lot of like junior stuff, I've seen people like kind of focus on where their skill sets lie. So courses taken, things like that. Another interesting opportunity for you is getting involved in a local human factors group, whether it's an HFES or whatever may be available to you, because that's another way to just build a network and kind of learn more from other people. Because to flip things upside down a little bit, like I don't have a background in design. I certainly don't have a background in knowing how to code, but I do have a human factors background. But I learned most of the things I did for learning how to design, learn how to code from networking opportunities that I got from either meetups or, organizations, whatever it may be. So that kind of networking aspect of it, I think would be really important for you. The other thing, and this is the last bit, I don't really know what the world holds for this stuff, but the whole thing that is most attractive about if a master's program is an option for you is that potential to have an internship built into it. So that's an invaluable experience. I mean, education aside and applied methods aside that you will likely learn, which you may already have experience in now, that ability to kind of have some built-in research experience plus internship plus networking opportunities, there's a lot that goes with that. But you can definitely still build that with what you have now, because it seems like you have relevant knowledge, some experience, and it really would sound like just building network from here.
Yeah. So here's the thing. There's look, like I said, Blake, in my perspective, is from the master's side of things. I think there are some interesting pathways that you can go. One, why not try to apply to these jobs, especially if you feel like you have the experience? What do you have to lose? They say no, and you have experience interviewing for positions. They say, what's the best that can happen? They say yes, and you get a job offer. A couple things to note with that. A lot of the folks that I know in the human factors field have advanced degrees, so either a master's or a PhD, and that makes them a little bit more competitive. However, your bachelor's makes you a little bit cheaper from a company perspective to hire. So there's trade-offs, right? So I can see a benefit for a company hiring you out of with a bachelor's degree. So my advice, just look for them. If you can't find a job that works for you, maybe try an internship and then try a job after that if you can find one. If not, then maybe look into a more advanced degree. But I don't think, I'm not one of those people that says you have to get an advanced degree in order to do human factors. And in fact, there's a lot of psych majors that go into like user experience and stuff. So it's like, while they may not have the additional training that a grad school might offer, they might not have the specialized subject matter that a grad school can offer. They might still have the foundation to work off basic research and work with participants to understand a user needs through cognitive psychology, right? That is all stuff that you cover in undergrad. And if you I know I'm going to make a couple people mad here, but if you read a couple books, you can get most of the way there. Really what comes down to is experience. And, it's always difficult finding a job out of school. It is. And so what I'm going to say is keep trying. and hopefully, it'll work out. Yeah, that's where I'll leave that one.
Nice. Very good.
I got one more for you, Blake. You ready?
Let's go. Yeah.
Using user experience internships for human factors experience. This is from Physic on Human Factors subreddit. I'm about to graduate with my bachelor's in psychology. So again, I should have rolled this into the last one. Anyway, and I'm really interested in going into human factors. I have a pretty good GPA and lab experience, but I think having experience / an internship will really help give me the upper edge into getting into a nice program. So this is not necessarily from the getting a job perspective, but getting into a program perspective. So we can look at it from that way. My problem is that there aren't really any human factors internships in my area. And my principal investigator for my lab said I should look at UX internships instead. I'm curious how well experience from a user experience internship carries over to human factors on a grad school application. I find that a lot of companies want UX interns to have a lot of experience with design programs, but I've been doing a lot of statistical research in my undergrad. Any help would be appreciated. Blake.
Yeah, so look for, to the best of your ability. I mean, looking for UX internships can be well and fine, but I would imagine most UX internships are going to be looking for somebody with design chops in addition to knowing how to do the research side. If you're really focusing on the statistical analysis and kind of all of that in the undergrad, look for UXR internships, and they will be out there. More specialized kind of job postings and stuff like that are more common now. So kind of put that in the back of your hat as well. Now, in terms of how's the carryover, I'm a big proponent of just, it's how you're telling that story. I mean, if you want to apply to an HF grad program and use your basically work experience to help you get there, I think it's just crafting a story. And if you already have good lab and research background, and now you've gone out and gotten basically an applied internship, and like you're taking what you learned in your psychology degree and applying it to real world problems, that should make you a pretty good candidate from my perspective for grad school applications. It'll be a lot of kind of trying to think about, what do I really focus on in my internship that I can really think about talking about in an HF grad program application. So how did I understand user needs? What processes did I use? Did I use any kind of out of the box methods that you don't really see used a lot? So I think that there's definitely, so from my perspective, I know it's not a popular one all the time, but I think there's a massive overlap between the user experience world and the human factors world. And I would be very surprised if your experience in any kind of UXR internship did not carry over very well for an HF program. So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents. Nick, what you got?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think like if you look at it, any experience is better than no experience. And so if you can find a UX design internship, that's probably fine. I think, Blake, you nailed it on the head. There's user researcher experience out there that probably more closely fits their skill set and would probably be a better fit for grad school. I think overall, you were absolutely nailed it on the head. It's how you phrase things and how you tell that story. So we're on the same page there. I don't really have much to add to that. I think you kind of knocked it out of the park. Thanks for stealing my thunder, Blake.
Woo!
All right. With that, let's end the show. That's it for today, everyone. Let us know what you guys think of the stories this week, or story. If you want, you can join us the discussion on our Slack. We do post all those news stories that I go through during office hours. You can check us out, office hours, twitch.tv/humanfactorscast. Blake's going to be hanging out this Sunday. If you want to reach us directly, you can do that, humanfactorscast@gmail.com. If you like what you hear, you want to support the show, there's a couple ways you can do that. One, you can leave us a review on your podcast medium of choice. 5 stars is great. 2, you can let a colleague know about us. That's how we grow. And there's a lot of new people to the show, so welcome if you're new. And 3, you can always join us on Patreon. And we give back to our patrons because Patreon is our priority. And of course, you can always reach us at our home on the web. And that link is in the description. I want to thank Mr. Blake Arnsdorff for being on the show today. Where can our listeners go and find you if they want to talk about what's going on with office hours?
You guys can come find me on Sunday from 8 to 9. I know it's a little bit early, PST, at twitch.tv/humanfactorscast. And if you want to get in touch with me across social media, you can reach me at @Don'tPanicUX.
As for me, I've been your host, Nick Roome. You can find me across social media at Nick_Roome and streaming on Twitch office hours on Tuesday at 11 Pacific. Thanks again for tuning into Human Factors Cast. Until next time, It depends.
Depends.
All right. Good
All
show.
right. I'm going to stop recording now.
Great.
All right. Let's export this thing.
Go ahead and export that thing.
Cool.
Yeah, that was a good show. I thought that was fun.
That was good. Yeah. I could not make up my mind about that article though.
Like, I was going back and forth too while we were doing it.
To be awesome, and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of not good. This is a very salesy thing. What's going on here?"
Yeah, I just tried to keep the user in mind there. All right, post show. Let's do it.
Show.
Hey everyone, it's the post show.
Post show indeed.
So
I don't know
Blake,
if this is post show worthy, but this is one thing that we didn't touch on that I know we've touched on 1,000 times. But
oh no, I
really think we should have gone into some of the privacy concerns about a smart city.
You're right. Dang it.
Oops.
We sometimes do that where we just get so excited about an episode and just forget to we completely whiff it on something, and that's okay.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about it, I think, ad nauseum sometimes, so it's not the end of the world.
I guess that's fine. All right, let's see here. So what's going on with the post show? I should probably do something here. Huh?
Are you gonna do the awesome thumbnail?
I am. Yeah, two thumbnails.
Double thumbnail.
Because I've been doing. I think you jumped off last week. But I've been doing the YouTube thumbnail as well.
Oh yeah, because you're doing the podcast and the YouTube one. Very good.
YouTube one.
Very good, man.
Oh man, that was a ton of fun to have Mateo jump into the chat earlier.
I know. What did you say to me? I don't know if you said it. I'm gonna say it even though I shouldn't. But it felt like to me also a giant breath of life to see that. Because it's nice when you have somebody hop in there and you feel like and especially because it's a friend of the show or a friend of ours for sure. And we've done fun things with Mateo over the past, however many years we've been doing this podcast. So that just felt really awesome to see. But it is cool when you actually get some interaction through chat of any kind. So it's fun to do.
Yeah. So if you're in chat and you're, watching us, why don't you say hi? Or even if replay, I don't know. Anyway. Around to see it. I mean, we'll get you, of course, but we can't respond to it, of course, because this is already recorded. If you're watching, if not, then we're live, and you can chat us right now. All right, let's here. I should probably get up and going, so we can see that. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Check that out.
Oh man,
that was
something I was gonna throw in here. So it did in our news story while we were on Restream say firefighters with data.
It did.
Yeah.
I changed the caption.
I don't know what happened. So if I go and look at captions right now, it still says it like Human Factors News helping firefighters with data.
See, on my end, it says considering the people of smart cities.
Oh, goodness. That is not what I'm seeing on the screen. That's so funny. Who knows?
That's what I'm seeing on the stream, though. So that's good.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Are you serious? So if you're looking, yep, it is.
Yeah, I'm watching the stream right now. Yeah. And I can, as like a QA.
That's hilarious, dude. I also screenshot it to send it to you, but it's not worth it. That's so good. Well, good. I'm glad that it worked out that way then.
I'm glad it worked out that way too. Hey, I got a little preview for you, man. Look at this. This is going to be our episode 200 template, but until then, we're going to use this one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Episode 200, man, that's coming up fast. That's like 3 weeks away.
Oh, dude, episode 200 is going to be a banger. It's going to be something, man. I'm so excited for 200.
That's so crazy, though. It feels like just yesterday we did 100. Ugh.
Yeah, 100 was our big
foray to video.
Yeah. So it'll be freaking wild, man. We're 200 episodes into this thing. What the hell?
Yeah,
almost.
I don't even understand it.
Blake, what happened?
I don't know. It's kind of funny that it's cool to come back to video because we when we had to move out of the studio because just couldn't pay that bill no more.
Yeah.
But now it's interesting because this is kind of an easier format for it all, even with the COVID nonsense, and because of Restream being
COVID.
awesome. This is just such a dream setup.
Yeah, man, this is really great. I really love. I can't ever imagine you and I getting into a studio again to do it without it.
There would have to be like budget behind it and reason to do that.
You'd have to be a whole Human Factors media company.
Yeah. Especially with like the tools that we have at our fingertips that we don't even necessarily have to pay for. Like, yeah, it's annoying with some of the branding and stuff, but the tool in and of itself is so sick for free. Just too much.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that we can, blast it out to a couple different.
I mean, the functionality of being able to change the screen so seamlessly and do different kind of presentation modes, that's just, mint.
Oh, yeah. And we can invite up to 6 guests. So this is very scalable for, if we ever were to have other people on the show, which I'd like to do.
Yeah, we're going to hold our own conference in here. It'd be great.
That'd be cool. I'd love to have a Human Factors cast conference. We just bullshit about news stories.
Yeah.
Smart cities. What imagery comes to your mind when you think of smart cities?
Man, that graphic that Google put together for the smart city was my favorite one because it just looked like ridiculous, futuristic, almost like Futurama, but real. Let's see. Let me attach that and send that to you. I'll see if I can find that old image.
Oh, dude, no, I got it right here.
Oh, yeah?
Look at this. Oh, this is going to be such like a cheap ass
just a rip
YouTube. Oh God, this is going to be some real cheap YouTube and podcast art, but I really like this one, and I'm just going to use it because I think the cityscape is perfect for this aspect ratio, and this is going to be a little blown out. Maybe I won't use this one.
Yeah, it'll turn gnarly.
What is going on, man? My computer is so slow.
Is it having a freak out over there? Yeah.
I think so.
That's no good.
Eesh. I kind of like that. Shit. I'm going to keep it.
Do it.
All right. Well, that was easy.
Yep. Couldn't have been better.
Yeah. You know what? I'll work on that. Blake,
yes.
What are you tackling with office hours this weekend?
Oh, man. So I went down like a rabbit hole after office hours stopped, and I should have just hopped right back on because I think I spent like another 3 flipping hours trying to get that one part of my website working, or styled the way that I wanted it to, which actually was a nice learning opportunity. But for me, I just basically want to get the first pages done. So basically, I have like cards that are associated with it. I mean, I could share this stuff, but I'd rather let you show people what you're doing. But basically, I've got like cards that I want to design, put assets in, and then put links into different places. Because it's really not going to be that big of a, case study portfolio or any of that kind of stuff. For now, it's just going to link to other stuff that I'm doing. So the Human Factors podcast site, my design lab profile, and my referral link for that. And then I can't remember what I was going to do for my current job. I had something up my sleeve and I've totally forgotten it. But then the other kind of aspect to it is I want to start kind of building a newsletter. So I'm going to kind of beta test that with a couple of students that seemed interested in some of the stuff. So I'm going to get that hooked up with ConvertKit in the back end to get that jamming. Whoa, that looks crazy cool.
Hold on. This might look a little janky. We're going to see.
Transforms.
Oh, hang on.
Ooh, shoot.
Oh, shoot. Let's do that. What does that look like?
I don't know what you're trying to do.
That's kind of like peak. Just deleted that. Oh, I like that. Oh, shoot. That's cool. Yeah, let's just use that.
There you go. Beautiful.
And I think we can have 2 different ones.
Why not? The intrigue is just going to be so high.
They're totally different, right? Like this is different from last week, so why not?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Go for it.
Considering the people of smart cities.
That's a nice title.
Yeah, man. At some point, though, wait, what the hell? Hang on.
Uh-oh.
This is janky. This is why I don't like. This is our current format. I don't like it because it's all janky.
What's janky? What are you flipping out about?
I don't know. I don't know why. See, because I like to have our logo off here to the left. And I guess I could just do this. Let's just do that. That's going to be better, considering the people of Smart City.
Yo.
Okay, here's how we save these.
This is stupid, but let's consider it for at least 1 week. But when you have office hours on Tuesday at 11 PST. When you do that, you've already decided what based off the Patreon stuff and what you've gone through, you've kind of already picked the show, or like picked the story, or do you pick some to give to the Patreons?
I don't pick the story, man. I pick, here's how it works, man. So like what I'll do is I'll sit here. So everything's a week delayed. So if last week I looked through our Feedly and looked for interesting stories, posted everything in that I found interesting or related to the field of human factors. I posted that in our Slack. And then of those, I picked ones that would be interesting for us to talk about and popped those into the Patreon poll.
Got them.
So, there's a little bit of a pre-filter there. There's two filters, right? Do we find it interesting and exciting? Can we post it in the Human Factors Slack as a resource for anybody? And then there's that second filter of, hey, is this juicy enough for Blake and I to sit and talk about on the show?
Yeah.
And those get populated into the Patreon poll. I think what I will end up doing is switching the Monday and Friday, so that way they get a whole week of lead time to vote on the stories, and then the week-to-week Q&A is just going to be ongoing, whatever. So we'll do that. We'll switch those, and I'll start it tomorrow, so that way, actually, we could do it now in the post show. Actually, for anyone who's curious what our Patreon looks like, I could certainly show you that. So, and we could actually go over some of the stories that I pulled from office hours last week. So here's our Patreon. There it is. So this is the story that won this week. I don't know why it clicked it. I didn't click it. Oh, because I copied yeah, there it is. So this is the stories that we pulled from last week. So, Patreons could have chosen any of these, and we got most of the votes here. And then you'll also see over here on, I think, drafts. So let's go ahead and open drafts here in a separate tab. So you can see here, I have, these are new stories that I pulled this week. Oh boy.
Hey, look at there.
Scheduled, maybe? Do I have it scheduled? No. Where'd it go? Uh-oh. Please stand by.
Broken.
No, this is not good. I had a whole thing.
I had a whole spiel going on.
This is not good.
What happened to my spiel?
Hold on. Let me here. Why don't you kill some time really quick? Why don't you talk about something real quick while I look for
well, I try and figure out this thing. Man.
Here it is. Yes.
One thing that I'm like super interested in doing is figuring out how to do user experience related music content. I'm trying to figure out like if I can do YouTube videos or what on that.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
But all right, now that you figured it out.
Yes, we're figured out. So
nice.
I guess I just didn't save it as a draft. Okay. Well, I guess that's not going to work either. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a new post. We're just going to take all this verbatim. And what I will do, go ahead and copy this. We're going to make a poll, and we're going to go patrons choose the news. I don't know if this is too in the weeds for a post show, but I don't really
might be
care.
a little bit, and to just like pull back the curtain on what I was asking, I was just more trying to see if you pick it early enough and I can grab assets, I can try my hand at making a YouTube joint.
So here's wait, did that copy everything? Hi everyone. If you missed it, leave a quick vote.
Hey,
as always. Where's the as always?
As always. My name is Nick.
Yeah, there it is.
Underscore.
Okay, so, there we go. I don't think this is too much in the weeds. I think this is a good reward for somebody who wants to join us in the post show for them to see what's coming up. And the patrons, of course, get to vote on it. So it's not like we're spoiling anything for our patrons. they're the ones that get to choose all this fun stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's a recap of office hours for you in case you can't join me. It's like,
yep.
So you can look at some of these news stories that we got. Rad ass exoskeleton. I kind of hope they pick
Let's go. Yes. Can we just do that like as a supplement?
I was thinking we should go back to that bonus show, even if it's like just 20 minutes of us rapping about an extra news story that we find super interesting. Like I've kept the Hyperloop concept video in here for the last couple weeks, and we've got no hits on it. And I'm just like, oh man, I really want to talk about that.
Oh, but yes.
I also thought, what would be great is if we did like react videos, right, on YouTube, like make it exclusive content for YouTube, because we have exclusive Twitch content.
Yeah.
Right now.
It wouldn't be a bad idea, because I mean, we could basically do like a whatever you call it, like a rap show of, okay, Patreons didn't pick it, but we thought it was going to be fun stuff to do and only drop it on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's a fun time.
So what I'm doing now is I'm grabbing shoot, what is this? I don't know why it does this. I don't know why it like basically grabs my facial recognition. Yeah, that's it. So what I'm doing now is I'm grabbing the stories that the patrons chose last week, but didn't quite make the cut, right? Like there were votes for it, but didn't enough. I'm bringing those into the next week's poll. So that way there's a chance that we might be able to talk about some of these.
Rad. Man, there's a fair amount of votes on there. I'm kind of surprised. That's amazing to me.
Yeah. We're just ditching the votes that didn't quite make it.
Yeah.
So like Hyperloop, we'll go ahead and can. Facebook, AR/VR will can. AI generates portraits will can.
See ya. Yeah, people aren't stoked on that. I don't know, the AR/VR and the Hyperloop would definitely make the
so cool.
Nick and Blake's nonsense show.
I think we got to figure out some logistics for that before we commit to it, but I like the idea, right? Did somebody just vote on this? I feel like that's not accurate count. Anyway, I should, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Whole settings. I wonder. Oh, set end date. I haven't been doing this. I should, right? This is going to end when? This is going to be April 25th. That scared me when I saw April 1st on there. I was like, what?
It's already here.
This will end, let's say like an hour before we go live. So that way I have a chance to look at it. Yeah, so we'll do that. Okay, cool. So there it is. So I'm going to say, hi, everyone. We're back with another exciting week of news stories. We are making a change around here.
Making a change in this town
to give you all a greater lead time with selection of the stories. These patrons choose the news will now go live. Now go live on Fridays, and the weekly Q&A will take its place. Its previous time slot on Mondays. Hopefully, this gives everyone
enough time to get in there and get all the stuff voted up on.
As always, we're phasing out some of the stories as we get new and exciting ones. So if there's something that's fallen off and you want us to talk about it, feel free to leave us. Hey, I'm doing office hours where I pick these stuff out. Yep, I think we're good. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to schedule tomorrow. At tomorrow at 10
a.m.
Let's do 6 a.m. Pacific. This will be patrons only. I don't care if anyone sees it. So, because they can't vote. That's the thing. Our weekly Q&A I need to change that. So if anyone's still on here watching this post show, this mess of a post show, what is this? We do a weekly Q&A where we'll post this stuff. And this is just a chance for patrons to connect with us on any level that they can ask us any question. This is favorite drink when we go to conferences, favorite conference story, how would you tackle a specific problem from a specific project. This is their opportunity to really interact with us, and so we're going to move these to Mondays.
Monday.
So this is 3/22. So happy Monday, everyone. As we mentioned, so I'm going to go ahead and quickly mention, as we mentioned on Friday, we're switching patrons choose the news.
They're now going to be choosing everything.
And our weekly, Q&A to give you all greater lead time with selecting the stories. Stories. And then I have all this in italics because this is kind of our placeholder text that we use every week. And thank you all so much for your continued support. We got the tag in there. This is going to be Monday, 7 a.m. patrons only. I don't care if people see this because they can't comment on it. So that's
until the time.
I'm going to schedule this for 3/22. There it is.
Do it.
Dude, our patrons are so lucky. They get a lot of stuff. They get a lot of stuff. Like here's Human Factors minutes for the next 2 weeks. I still haven't uploaded all the other ones that we have ready to go, but
Entrepreneurial Part 6 is hitting. Ooh, I bet you they're stoked for that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I do need to get the next year loaded up though. Of Human Factors minutes. It was so nice to not have to touch that. I gotta do that again.
Right.
All right. Well, that's that. Okay, cool. So we got a lot done. We got the thumbnails. We got the Q&A or the Patreon poll, and we got the other thing.
Q&A set up.
Schedule. Yeah. So
crushed
stuff going. Man, I gotta tell you, my tooth is freaking killing me, man. Like this crown is just so painful.
Yikes, dude. That sounds so tough. Oh
yeah.
Is it you just got it done like today, right?
2 days ago.
2 days ago? Shit. Hopefully it starts stopping to be a pain in the ass in the next day or two.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. When did I do it? Was it Monday or Tuesday?
Monday.
Days are blurring. And yeah, it's like doing that at the beginning. And I had some other dental work done while I was doing that too. So it was like,
good for you, bro. Jeez.
Lots of work done to these.
Yeah. Got to keep them things going.
Gotta keep them looking good. Yeah. Man, what do you got going on this week? I never wait. Did you answer the question? Office hours? You said you were gonna work on some of your like affiliate links and all that stuff on your.
Yeah, I'm just gonna basically finish out the rest of the page. I got some cleanup work to do on that main card that I put there. I'm just gonna restyle the cards on there and then link everything up basically, and then start. I might, if depending on what time, how long that takes me and how long I feel like staying on, because I'll probably go past the hour this time for sure. I might look into like how I'm gonna put my newsletter together. I'm thinking about using ConvertKit, but I might try another service or do something cheaper, depending on what makes the most sense and what's easiest to integrate with Next.js.
Yeah, maybe I want to run this by you, Blake, because I've been running into an issue with my office hours where I can't get through all the news stories in 1 hour. So like I'm trying to power through them, and sometimes I'll just be like, whatever, I'll throw it in there just because. And what I realized too is that I took out 2 of our regular sources for Engadget, Gizmodo, and TechCrunch. I took out those sources on our personal one because I took those out on our shared Feedly because I have those on my personal account. Do I add those back in? Because now we're going through them in office hours. I'll have to revisit the story, so I'll kind of have a selection bias already of, oh yes, this is good. But like it's me going through them, and I'm already like bumping up against that hour time slot. I would love to do it for longer, but sometimes that's just not feasible.
Yeah, not like a Tuesday, right? That's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
I was gonna run this by you, and I don't know what interest you have in it, or if it would be a PR nightmare for both of us.
Ooh.
But like, because Twitch is meant for gaming, right? Yeah. So I'm not sure if either one of us could commit to doing it together, but like doing like a game night on Friday nights or something like that.
Dude, you're speaking my language. That's something that I've actually wanted to do, right? Like exclusive Human Factors cast plays.
Yeah.
And I would totally be down for that. That would help us with like pull back the scenes. We're trying to get affiliate with Twitch. Another way for folks to support the show. And that would certainly help with that. Dude, I would be down with a Friday night if if we could make it later, like after, like at 9 p.m. Pacific. I know that's a late stream, but it's a Friday night. So like, if you want to do that, we could like pick up Stadia or something and play it or whatever. And that would be easy for my machine to run, especially while we're doing restream and whatnot.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I'd be down for that if you want to try it. Maybe like, not tomorrow, but next week.
Yeah, let's plan for that and see how it goes. We'll have to pick out something on Stadia, I guess would be the easiest thing to do.
It'd be the easiest thing to do. If we had something that's cross-play, we might be able to do it, like where you're playing on another device and I could share my screen. Or if you have a video capture device, you could do it on yours and I could play on my own over here. That's something that we could work out too.
Which I do. I do have like a capture card and all that stuff.
Yeah, so maybe we could work something out if it's on another platform. I could play my end over here, and you could play your end and stream. It just kind of how the setup goes. So
yeah, we can work out the logistics, but it might be something worth trying, especially to like give more content to Twitch.
Yeah, exactly. Let's chat about it over the next week offline, and we'll anyone who's watching now, we'll be back with a game next Friday.
There you go.
9 p.m. Pacific.
PM.
Yeah, that'll be fun. All right, man. Well, I think we've done a pretty great show and a pretty great pre-show. So thank you all for hanging out with us live. And we'll be back. I guess Blake will be next here scheduled on Twitch. You'll be back office hours Sunday morning.
Yeah, Sunday morning coffee time with Blake.
Yeah, I'll be there. I enjoyed watching it last week. I learned a lot, so I'll be back this week hitting up the chat. So
rad.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back.
Have